Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Dell 7490 business class laptop, so stay tuned for the review. Hey guys, welcome to my review of the Dell Latitude 14-inch 7490 business class laptop. I'm going to talk about the different configurations, the specs, build quality, materials, and the ports available. And then I'll show you the inside of the laptop so you can see the layout. So to start, these do come with Intel's latest 8th generation Coffee Lake CPUs. You can configure them from the i5-8250U up to the i7-8650U. This particular one has the 8250U, which is a 1.6 gigahertz quad core, 6 megs of cache. The base clock is 1.6 gigahertz, a turbo boost up to 3.4. The i7-8650 is 1.9 gigahertz. I believe that turbo boosts up to about 4 gigahertz. You can configure these with the previous 7th generation i5, although I don't know why anybody would, because I don't think the price difference is that much. And most of the base laptops you'll see are configured with the 8th generation 8250U, which for most people will chew through absolutely everything. And if you need a bit more power, then you can stick in the i5. For memory, these uses DDR4. There are 2 memory slots, so you can upgrade this to a total of 32 gigs. Hard drives, PCI Express based M.2, and you can configure it to 1 terabyte of storage. This particular model has the 256 gig, which is for most users going to be plenty. The target market for these are the IT departments, governments, banks, big corporations. These laptops are handed out by the thousands, tens of thousands. So it's the 14 inch is the perfect trade-off between weight and size for users. So the onboard video, it's Intel integrated 620 graphics, which is pretty snappy for most tasks you're going to do on this laptop. The very base model, you can get this with a TN regular HD panel, which I believe is 1366 by 768. But the next step up is the 1080p IPS panel, which is what this one is. And you can see that the colors really pop. Like, I was surprised because most business class laptops are just that for business, and some of their manufacturers, they don't really tend to put too much thought into the screens, the quality, unless you go super high end, and then you're paying through the roof. So it's nice to see that even with some of the more basic configurations you can get, the 1080p IPS panels included. And this one, the colors I was really surprised by how great quality the screen is. The brightness on this one is 300 nits, and I'm a bit of a stickler for brightness, so 300 nits is about, it's a good brightness point for most everything you're going to do in the office. A bit of outside work maybe, but mostly inside in the office environment, bright lights. I haven't had any problems with this. At night I even have to turn the brightness all the way down because it's too much. I know the MacBooks and a lot of the more recent laptops from HP, they have 400 plus nits brightness, which is really great, and I'm glad to see manufacturers are going that route, including more brighter screens. But that being said, 300 nits is perfect. I have used some laptops that are about 220, 250, and those are terrible because you most all the time have to have them cranked, even inside, and even in darker environments you have to have them cranked because about 200 is just way too low for a laptop screen. So this one does have a lot of the latest technologies, USB-C, USB 3.1, and the nice thing about Dell's business class laptops, they do include an Ethernet jack, which is gigabit Ethernet, which is nice to see because these laptops are meant to be practical. They're not meant to be flashy. Like I said, they're handed out by thousands, tens of thousands, so they need to be functional for everybody, for the IT departments, for the users, and so to have a full range of ports on this thing is really nice, and instead of just having a couple USB-C ports where you have to use a bunch of adapters, because I think for IT departments especially, you want functionality over, fashion or just a really flashy laptop. So it's nice to see that a lot of ports that everybody would use on a day-to-day basis are included on this one. So I'll show you here. This one has that's the power AC. I believe you can power from here too. This is the USB-C 3.1. It is Thunderbolt 3. It's DisplayPort, HDMI, and 2 USB-A ports, and then your smart card reader. On the other side, we have the micro SD card reader, headphone jack, and here you have you can equip this model with an LTE modem. I guess if you're on the go a lot. This particular one doesn't have it, but that's where the SIM card would go. Over here you have another USB-A slot, and then there's your Ethernet jack, and there's your Kensington lock. The one thing that I wish Dell would have done is added one more USB-C port. I know, like I said, these are business class laptops, and people want functionality and the ports over the fashion, but it would have been nice, instead of having one USB-C and 3 A's, to have an extra USB-C, because these will be used over the next 3 or 4 years, and so it would be nice to have an extra port there. As for the build quality, these things are built like a tank. This particular one, as configured, it weighs 3 pounds. It's super lightweight. I've used the Dell 7270 last summer, and I thought that was exceptionally light. And when I looked at the specs, it's hard to believe the 7270, which was 2 generations ago, the 12-inch, was 3 pounds, and this one is 3 pounds. So it's quite amazing to see how Dell's been able to shrink a 14-inch laptop into this size, because the dimensions of this laptop, it's only about 1 inch or less bigger than the 12-inch 2 generations ago. So this one, Dell's using some kind of a rubber material, which is really nice. It's very grippy. It is a fingerprint magnet, unfortunately, but you can easily wipe it off. And underneath, you can see it's got rubber feet, almost exactly like the Dell's XPS line. I think a lot of manufacturers are going this route. You have your screws. It's very easy to access the inside of this laptop, but again, these are used in thousands, tens of thousands for IT departments. These need to be easily accessible, opened, upgrades, repairs. It's really great to see that they have made ease of access, because I've used some of the other manufacturer laptops, and it's a nightmare to get inside. So 6 or 7 screws, 8 screws, and you're inside, and you have access to everything. Here are your 2 speakers. The sound quality, I mean, it is what it is. It's not the greatest. If you've heard the recent MacBook Pros, or HP uses their high-end speakers on their laptops, forget the name, Bang & Olufsen, I think. These are just regular speakers. They get the job done. It's nothing to write home about, but I also wouldn't let that persuade your decision, because I think that the rest of the laptop more than makes up for it. So yeah, that's the outside of the laptop. Build quality, this thing is really amazing, very sturdy. The hinge, there's absolutely no wobble. I mean, this thing is just, the hinges are built solid. This laptop, I mean, like I said, these things are going to get kicked around. When you're dealing with so many users, especially if you work in IT and you're carrying this around with you all the time, it's going to take a few bangs. And I think Dell's put that into their thought when they built this, because it's got an amazing build quality. And even not just the lid, but the palm rest area, everything on the outside, it has that rubber texture, so it's really nice to hold. It's grippy, and because it's only 3 pounds, I mean, this thing is a joy to use. I do use a MacBook Pro as well, one of the 13 inches, but if I'm going for a laptop, I will grab this one over the MacBook, because this is just, they are workhorses, and that is why they get leased and bought in the tens of thousands, because you just want something that's functional and that works, that's lightweight, super fast, it has everything you need, and this really does check all those boxes. For the few gripes that I may have with it, everything else more than makes up for it. So I'll show you the inside. Like I said, there's just 8 screws that you pop off, and then literally the back comes off. So this is the inside. You got your 2 DDR4 slots, memory slots, 60 watt-hour battery. This is running Windows 10 Pro, and I'm probably averaging at minimum 10 hours of battery life. But this thing has been phenomenal, and I usually run about 1 or 2 VMs using VirtualBox, and it's just amazing to see the battery life that I'm getting off this thing, because I've used some other laptops and it's not the greatest, but this battery life has been phenomenal. CPU's under there. It would have been nice to see 2 heat pipes instead of the 1, and a lot of the manufacturers are going this way, but just to keep the temperatures down, it would have been nice. I did stress test this one, and running Prime 95 and the GPU. I forgot the name of the stress test for the GPU app I ran, but I couldn't get this, even though it was hot, 70 Celsius, but I didn't have a single problem. I ran this thing for about a half hour, running everything I could to max the CPU and the graphics card out, and this thing just kept going and going and going. The fan, you don't hear it at all, unless you're just killing this thing like I was with stress testing. Even when I was stress testing this thing, I didn't hear the fan at all, which is really nice. I don't even think it turns on unless you're really taxing the system. So just your daily tasks, email, web browsing and stuff, you're not going to hear the fan at all. And even if you are stress testing this thing, or just putting under a lot of stress, I still don't think you're going to hear the fan, because running VMs, a lot of browser tabs, I'll have about 10 things running in the background, and this thing is super silent. So there's your Wi-Fi card. This thing does have the latest standards AC. That's where your LT modem would go if you had purchased one, configured it originally. I think you can purchase these afterwards. Then you just hook up the antennas afterwards. SSD is upgradable, which is nice to see. It's pretty, like I said, these have to be repaired and upgraded easily, and so Dell's thought about that, and everything in here is very easy to pull out and repair. The only thing with the new Dells, I think starting from the 7470 series and up, which includes the 12 and 13 inches, and a lot of their manufacturers like HP, I'm not sure about Lenovo, but I know HP is going this way, is that the keyboard, it's like a sandwich, so that you used to be able to, with these, and it's one of the things they boasted about, over Apple's, is that you could get a keyboard for $10 and install it. And while that's still true that you can get a probably $10 keyboard off eBay, it's not easy to install, because the keyboard goes in first, and then they put everything on top. So a 10-minute job is now probably about an hour and a half minimum, because you literally have to rip everything out, and then you can put the new keyboard in, and then everything back on. So it's not as if you have an issue with the keyboard, it's not as friendly. I can show you. This is the frame for the laptop. So the keyboard, like I said, would go here, and then you have to put the motherboard, and everything goes on top. So this is not an easy repair. The reason I have one of these, if you're wondering, is because I have to replace the mouse button on mine, which unfortunately Dell sends you, if you ask for the parts, they do send you this whole piece, because their thought is that you, the part number, they send this whole thing. I'm not sure why, because I believe that the keyboard, or the mouse buttons here, do have their own part number, so I'm not sure why they don't send just this piece. There's 2 screws right there and there. You pop those off, and you can take the mouse buttons off, and then you can put them on the new on your laptop. To do the mouse buttons, all you have to do is pull the battery out, and you have access to the mouse buttons. So I'm not sure why Dell sends this whole piece, because I'm not changing this whole thing just for two mouse buttons. Other than that, this laptop is just it's really amazing. Like I said, I've used all the different manufacturers. I've worked for companies that predominantly used Lenovo's. The last place I was at, they just used HP EliteBooks. Out of all 3 of them, I would say, HP and Dell, they both make really nice laptops. Same with Lenovo, but the only thing about Lenovo is, I've seen a lot of nice things lately with what HP and Dell are doing with their screens. And but I think, as many people have heard, Lenovo does have one of the best keyboards in the industry, and it seems to be the bar that everyone tries to reach for, is matching their keyboard experience. Typing on this thing is really amazing. And I should probably put the bottom back on, but it's okay. Like I said, typing on this thing is really amazing. The keys, there's really good tactile feedback when you're typing. I would compare this to the Lenovo keyboard. I was worried at first when I got this, because I've used previous Dells and I wasn't too happy with the typing experience. I myself would probably compare keyboards to the Lenovo T series, because they're just the industry standard that everybody compares to. But this keyboard, there is no flex when you press down, and the typing experience is phenomenal. Like I said, the tactile feedback when you press the keys. I have no problem, getting up to 80 or plus words per minute on this keyboard. It's phenomenal. The keys are backlit. I believe that's a standard. There is the mouse pointer like Lenovo has on theirs, and then there's the scroll. You got the mouse buttons for the pointer, and you got the regular mouse pad. Yeah, the mouse pad is decent. It's not. I've used nicer trackpads. I think everybody compares trackpads to the MacBook Pros, because they have been known to have the best trackpads in the industry, and I would probably have to agree with that. But for a business laptop, like I said, these get used by tens, hundreds of thousands of people. The trackpad does its job. Gestures you can do, 3 fingers, the scrolling, 2 fingers, whatever. I haven't had any problems with it. It's not overly sensitive, under sensitive. I mean, it's just it's perfect. Mouse clicks are nice. I know some of the manufacturers are including just making one trackpad with the clicks. It's nice to see that Dell still has the actual individual buttons. So that's a plus. This is running Windows 10 Pro. Anytime you buy a business laptop, it's coming with Pro. They don't include Home Edition. There's the two two mics up there. I think one's for noise cancellation, and then you got your webcam, which I believe is 1080p. Two mics. This doesn't have the Windows Hello. It doesn't have the infrared camera. If you're doing a lot of Skype calls, meetings, then this camera is more than sufficient for you. You won't need an external camera. And the sound quality from the mics is very good. I haven't had any issue. If you are looking at this laptop, I couldn't recommend it more. Even for home users, this is a phenomenal laptop. If you're looking for a new laptop, I would highly recommend getting a business class laptop, because the build quality is phenomenally better than what you would find on just a general consumer laptop. You can find the specs are better. The specs might not be better, but the build quality is definitely going to be better. They're going to use better materials. The warranty is going to be better. So these do have the 3-year warranty, I think, stock. You might be able to get it with a 1 year on a very base model, but I think standard is 3 years, and then you just pay extra for the next business day and on-site service. Dell has a regular warranty, and then I think they have the pro support. So this has been my review of the Dell 7490. If you have any questions, just throw it in the comments, and I'll try to answer them. Thanks.